Welcome to Edify Academy-a Learning Center. I, Engineer Mrinal Mitra, co-founder Edify Academy Learning Center, is going to discuss on a topic hydroelectric power plant. This is a very important topic for all the engineering students or non-engineering as well. And let's discuss the pros and cons and how the electric power plant and what are the different in perspective to the students, what are the different questions arises in our mind regarding the hydroelectric power plant. Let's start with the different forms of energies, because in any engineering device or any engineering principle there arises a form of energy which is getting exchanged or changed into another form of energy. So basically we have different forms of energy readily available in atmosphere, in our environment. Few are kinetic energy, potential energy, chemical energy, electrical energy, heat energy, nuclear or mass energy, radiant energy, etc. And each and every form of the energy, which is very important to understand, because conservation of energy is the term which is associated with any form of energy. So these form of energies get converted into the another form, and which is of our use. Let's directly come to the topic hydropower, regardless of other topics. So let us know what is a hydropower or how hydropower is used for hydroelectric power generation. It comes under the category of renewable energy resources. Now the question arises, what is renewable? From the name itself, renew, which can be renewed. Renewable energy is the energy obtained from regenerative or virtually inexhaustible sources of energy occurring in the natural environment, like solar energy, wind energy, etc. And sometimes it is also referred to as non-conventional source of energy. Now what happens in hydropower plant? It actually changes the potential or the mechanical form of energy to the applicable electrical energy. Why applicable? Because until unless it is applicable, it is of no use. And what happens here? A circulating water which falls from a high altitude or a high having a potential energy, and it goes and drops to the lower land surface, and while getting down, the force of the water rotates the turbine, and somewhat around 1500 rpm the turbine generates electricity, which can be further by the different circuitries and by the different devices can be smoothed and regulated to a particular voltage levels. Why this particular energy source is considered, or I must say it is more preferred as compared to the coal energy or the thermal power plant energy, because the exploitation of the energies or the steps is simultaneous. What does that mean? It means that in the first order the exploitation of fuel occurs, and the second order is the generation. So sometimes hydropower has the advantage over thermal power plant. Now the interesting part of this particular video, which is more attracted towards the students, and they have a keen interest on all these things, that what the obvious questions, and sometimes these questions get asked in the examinations also, but some of the other time these are the very obvious questions which comes into our mind, like how does hydropower works. Now what is the principle behind the hydropower? So hydropower works on the same principle, that it converts the potential or the mechanical energy into the usable electrical energy. Now next obvious question arises, that what are the advantages and disadvantages of electric power systems. Similarly, the question trails with what are the necessity and importance of harnessing small hydropower. This small hydropower is very important, because we have different types of hydropower plants, like mega power plants, small plants, or a micro hydropower plants. Nowadays these small hydropower plants came into existence, and they are very prevailing. Why? Because the making cost and the running cost is very less, and they are also handheld. Similarly, the question arises, what is the present scenario of the hydropower plant in India? Because this is very important. This is a very important question which arises in our mind, that what is the scenario in India? India is also doing good in small hydropower plants. Most of the students are doing research in this particular areas. Now next comes, we have made the device. Now what are the policies? The question arises, what are the national policies, laws and clearance for small hydropower development? And similarly, there is a difference between the small scale and the large scale hydropower plants. What is the basic, one of the biggest difference is the cost, the making cost and the running cost for the small and large scale hydropower projects. Now the principle is that water falls down to the turbines. So turbines also plays a very important role. Like, what are the types of turbines used in hydropower development? This question is very obvious. Next question arises, how much can you gain from a certain amount of water falling at a certain height? Like, a water contains some potential energy. When it falls, it has some kinetic energy. It goes and hits the turbine blades, and turbine blades gets rotated and electricity is generated. So what is the gain? That is, gain is always the output over input. Next very obvious question, which an engineer is very much interested, like, what are the main parts of the hydropower station? Like, it is the layout, general layout of the hydropower station. Next question also arises at the end, that what are the uses and types of generator used in hydropower plants? Why generator? Because it is not a stable form of energy. Any forms, any renewable form, non-conventional energy resource, it doesn't have a stable input-output relation. That's why generator, or in case of solar power plant, we have batteries to get stored. Now some questions also arises in the MCQ or fill in the blanks type questions, like electrical energy dependency of hydropower plant. In short, it is also called HEP. What are the advantage and non-advantage of HEP? Under what category HEP lies? Like, it is, I already discussed, it comes under renewable energy source. Next also question arises, that turbine types, what are the different types of turbine used in HEP? This can be very MCQ, or MCQ means multiple choice questions. It can come under different choices, 4 to 5 choices, and sometimes single answer is correct, or sometimes more than one answers are correct. Next question arises, requirement for the site selection of HEP. What are the requirements? Next question arises, comparison of different power generation plants in terms of cost, like different thermal power generation, or hydropower generation, or wind power generation. So there is always a distinction, a comparison chart between all these power generation plants in terms of cost, power, efficiency, etc. Now for more video and more updates, you can always like and share and subscribe our channel. I have given the 3 links. First link is channel Edify Academy Learning Center, which is a link for a YouTube channel. I'll also share the document on the link description. And next is website Edify Academy Learning Center. It is a business site. And third one is the FP page.